Hello, in this demo, I'm going to simulate repeated failed login attempts on this Windows 11 machine, so I can demonstrate how Windows Event Viewer will show the logs for the authentication events that happen for failed login attempts and for successful login attempts, and how it also enforces account lockout policies. And then we're going to take a look at how you would respond to a brute force attack. So what I have so far is within my local security policy, I have turned on the audit account lockout for success and failures, and then the audit logon for success and failure. That way we can see all of the attempts correctly. So first I'm going to sign out of my account, and then I am going to simulate a brute force attack to my own account here. So this is just a fake account. I'm just going to put in some random passwords. This is just simulating brute force. And eventually, if I did it enough, it would, after 10 attempts, which is the current policy, it would lock my account and make it hold for 2 minutes until it would reset the counter. But this time, I'm actually going to put in the correct password and then go ahead and log in. And we'll assume that this is the brute force actually getting into the system. So what I'm going to do is say we've been alerted of a possible brute force attempt. We can go into this machine and take a look at the event viewer. And we'll take a look at the logs, security logs, and there's going to be quite a bunch of logs when they load. Okay, so it shows a bunch of logs here, and it's going to be quite a few that you'd have to scroll through. So the best way to do it is to filter through the logs. So if we go to the filter current log, we can actually pick what event ID, and we're looking for a failed login. Currently, there's a lot of success, but you can see the audit failures here. That's what we want to look for. You can either do the keywords for audit failure, hit OK, and it'll show you all of the attempted and failed login attempts. Or if you wanted to just go by the event ID for a failed login attempt is going to be 4625. So I could, instead of doing this, I could just type in, instead of all event IDs, type in 4625, hit OK, and it will give me all of the events that have this particular event ID. So in this case, you can see the whole list of these attempted and failed login attempts. So what we can get from this is the date and time that this has occurred. So we can see some yesterday happened, and this was a test that I did earlier. But for today, you can see it started at 10:42, and then it went all the way to 10:44:47. And then I tried it again a little bit later, and it's started at 11:02. Did a few login attempts, and it went to 11:02:42. Now what we can do, if we wanted to see that successful one, we could go back to our filter. And we could also just add, this is just going to add the same event. So if we did 4624, that's going to show us all of the successes as well. So right after that last one, you see that there is a successful login attempt right after our failure. So this is going to say that, hey, there has been, this account has been infiltrated. We can also take a look at what it does when our account gets locked out. So for example, if I want to go in and take a look at that, we could take a look at our security policies. And we can change the account policies. So if you wanted to make your password policy more complex, you can go into here and set some of the settings here to make your password requirements. Or you can just go right in here to our lockout policy, and that's what I'm going to look at right now. Currently, it is a lockout duration of 2 minutes. So after 10 invalid attempts, you'll be locked out for 2 minutes. And then after those 2 minutes, that counter will be reset. So I'm just going to lower this just so I don't have to log in as many times. So do like 3, apply, exit out. So then we can take a look at how it's show how it logs the account lockout. So I'm going back in. There's attempt number 1 failed, 2, And number 3. Now it says this reference account is currently locked out and may not be logged into. So if I try the correct password, it's still not going to let me in. I'll have to wait the 2 minutes for it to allow me to sign in again. All right, it's been about 2 minutes. My settings, I should be able to log in now. And it's letting us back in. And that is just one method that you can do to help prevent brute force attacks, is to just enforce the account lockout so they can't just keep spamming and spamming and spamming trying to log on. So next we can just take a look again at the Windows Event Viewer. All right, so here are my failed attempts. I've gone into the filter log and I have added the failed attempt here, 4625, or again, you could choose the keyword audit failure and it will give you the same results. Sometimes the account lockout ID for other systems will be the 4740, and that'll show you your account lockouts. But in this case, it is also 4625 within my Windows VM machine here. So again, with this information, we can conclude that this is probably going to be a brute force attack, considering the persistence of failed logins, as well as the account actually being locked out. If we wanted to further analyze this data, you could always save it to a file and then analyze it in another software. You might want to also figure out whether or not the account was actually successfully logged into right after this, just in case a brute force was successful. But just in this case, I'm just going to select the failed attempts, and we can save this to an event file by going down to Save Selected Events. And we could give it a file name, brute force events, save it somewhere. We could further analyze this in other software to see any information that might be, that might be important for this security event. Most of the times, you would probably have an IP that you would find that relates to this brute force, and the idea would be to block that IP temporarily in order to stop the persistent brute force attack. So next I'm going to attempt to sign in to this VM instance via RDP from my host machine as a way to kind of simulate a potential attacker trying to get into the VM instance. So I'm going to run a command to be able to try and log in through RDP, and I will pretend that I'm trying to just brute force and just guess the password wrong. There we go, so it did not work. If I go back into my VM instance, we should be able to see an updated audit failure. And we can always filter these by the ID 4625 for audit failures. If I double click on this, we should be able to scroll down and see some network information about this login attempt. So it gives me the workstation name. In this case, it's my host workstation name, as well as the source network address. So if this was a real-world scenario, if this were a malicious attempt, we would probably want to temporarily block the IP address so it would prevent future login attempts from that IP address.